Welcome everybody out to podcast number, I put 207, but it's really 407. Are your conversations deep enough? Stay with us.
This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome everybody. Today we're going to talk about a really cool concept, actually one that I've learned from some new lean friends that I've gained, and we're going to talk about visualization on this podcast. So this is pretty phenomenal, and I haven't thought about the concept in this much depth before, so you'll want to stay with us. So before we do that, let me just say that I've been trucking along on online training content, writing blog posts for some really fantastic people for the Lean Construction blog and for the Lean Builder folks in reference to Last Planner and how it relates to TACT. And so I've been staying real busy. Got most of the events scheduled to the rest of the year, but I really would invite anybody listening to the podcast that wants to do TACT training or Last Planner training, scheduling training, superintendent training, anything before the end of the year, let us know because we're excited to be able to do that and be able to cap things off before the holidays. What am I excited about in life? That's a really cool one. So I was able to pair up with Niklas Modig with his Operational Excellence platform, which is a world famous online platform that will publish construction content and other lean training and lean content, agile content, and it's pretty exciting. It's the best that I've seen. It has a very specific style to it. So he has one course that I want to mention, Lean Foundations, and it ties into his book, This is Lean, and it is absolutely fantastic. So if anybody's ever interested in that, please let me know. We're also launching some courses here in a couple of months on construction excellence about the lean fundamentals. And then we will get into operational excellence, creating capacity, TACT planning. I mean, that online course content is just going to build and it's fantastic. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. Let's talk about fans and feedback. Hi, Jason. Amazing content, great book. And I think they were talking about the super book. I just recently discovered your book on the Lean Play app. Yep, that was the super one. I'm working in the construction industry and the power industry for nearly 20 years, and I've been looking for lean construction content and to inspire my team. So thanks so much for producing this. Did you ever do a podcast on how to handle difficult customers? We have a customer whose standard line is to demand that we deliver his interpretation of the contract spec right or wrong and whether it makes sense or not. We are finding that in terms of maintaining the mental health of our staff, this is very challenging. Do you have any advice? Unfortunately, it is not a customer I can afford to drop, nor do I necessarily want to. I want to somehow improve the relationship. And then he says, thanks. So I really appreciate this feedback. I'm going to do tomorrow's podcast about respect for people and customers because I think that's really going to dive into this concept. So I will have that podcast out tomorrow. So awesome. Thank you for the feedback. Let's get into our podcast today. Your conversations aren't deep enough. So let me actually tell you a quick story. It's kind of a story, but I was asked to help with an LCI workshop that deals with visualization. And in going through this, I was taught by I'm not going to mention their names here because I didn't get permission, but some pretty fantastic people about visualization. And they really brought my mind to the fact that when I was a superintendent, and this wasn't from a critical standpoint or anything, but when I was a superintendent, I was not getting the questions and the visualization down to the right level. And I'm gonna explain that tonight. And if you get to go to LCI then and go to the course on visualization, then you'll get to see this whole thing in all of its grandeur and glory. But from a visualization standpoint, I kind of take that for granted. First of all, even though some people believe in the visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and some people don't, I personally do. I am more of a visual learner, more of a visual person than others. You know, I'll tell you why I really believe in it also. I remember being asked a number of times early on in my career to help. And I say it this way because this is the way it was told to me, but I'm not sure I believe it this way. But to fix certain people that were really having a difficult time in construction. And I remember flying somebody out to my office one time, actually, and she just could not figure out how to visualize lift drawings and construction and the things that she was supposed to be doing. I mean, it was all auditory, kinesthetic, mainly kinesthetic type learning. And no matter what I did, she wasn't going to grasp it. But she was smart. She was so smart. And so I've seen people that have difficult times visualizing things, and it's really to the detriment of their career in construction because we're a very visual 3D kind of an industry. So I take it for granted. And this isn't bragging, this is just data. Whereas I was a field engineer, I taught myself AutoCAD. I learned how to translate plans into 2D lift drawings and 2D cut sections, which essentially put them into 3D visualizations into my mind. I learned how to use 3D applications. I can't remember if it was Autodesk Architecture. Yeah, it was Autodesk Architecture, Tekla, Autodesk Revit, and I would model things. I would model things in Tekla. I would model things and dang it, what is that? I should know this. SketchUp. Sorry, dang it. Anyway, so I spent a lot of time teaching lift drawings, interpreting drawings for lift drawings, creating 3D models. I can take a synchro. Well, back in the day, I don't know what version of the software it was, but I can take a model it for you, and actually provide a 4D schedule for you in synchro. Like, I know how to do that. So I was taught from a really young age in construction how to visualize in 3D. So I kind of do it automatically, and it's just a part of who I am. And also reading drawings enforces that because I have to visualize those things. And then every job that I've done, once when I looked at it in the drawings, then it became a 3D manifestation in the field. So I'm just kind of take that for granted. So the other thing is, transparently, I'm not very good at enabling people. I think I'm good at teaching. I'm good at galvanizing. I'm good at rallying people. But the one-on-one, like mentor, love somebody up, be patient with them, that's not really my style. Like when I'm out with Brandon Montero, when the class size, so we had a class size of 16 and then we had a class size of 11 one time. He likes the class size of 11 because it's closer to 1. I like the class size of 16 because it's closer to 5,000, right? So I would rather be in front of a large group instead of a smaller group. Why did I tell you that? Oh, from an enablement standpoint. So there's two faults that I have. One is that I assume that people should be able to figure it out, right? Schroeder's law, if there was a production law that was titled Schroeder's law, I would say figure it out. And then the other one is enablement. I'm not very great about that because I don't like those one-on-one interactions too much. I do them. I mean, don't not contact me if you need help, but I do them, but I don't enjoy it, right? So I have typically with trade partners and other people just been like, "Oh, you ready for that? Okay, good. Yeah, are you ready for that? Okay, good. All right. So are you going to be on time? Oh, all right. Yeah. I mean, it's just like quick hitting, not too in detail. I'm not really staying with the person, helping them visualize. And so this little wake-up call for me was absolutely fantastic. And so this is a rally cry to project managers, PEs, superintendents, field engineers, foremen on how we can better communicate and help people to visualize. So where would you use this? So you're not going to so much use this in master scheduling when you do your TAC plan. When you do your phase planning on a project site, and then even the work packaging to create TAC sequences, kind of, but it's really going to come down to when you're doing those 6-week, 4-week make ready look aheads, 3-week make ready look aheads, and your weekly work planning, and you're making work ready, that you're going to need this skill. And so one time a lean professional said, "Jason, as a superintendent, what did you do to bring out roadblocks and to really make work ready?" And so my answer specifically was that I would, well, let me go back. I would use the quality process just like I talked about the other day, and make sure that my team meetings were remarkable, that we were going through a point of release chart for scopes on the site that were going through that quality process. I would make sure that trades would have a feature of workboard, a visual feature of workboard, and then I would utilize this little quality card is what I called it for scheduling, where it has the task, the company, the duration, and it asks, hey, are you ready? Is material tracking just in time? Has material been inspected? Is manpower available? Does manpower understand the drawings? Is safety planning complete? Are required tools and equipment on site? Have you read the drawings? Are all RFIs answered? Are submittals approved? When I first saw this being used, I think it was from the LCM folks. I think it was the Drees and Summers cards that they use, where if you don't have the task made ready, you turn it around and it's red on the back and it becomes a roadblock, or what some people would call a constraint. So I saw this and I was like, dang, that's a real good way. But it's still just asking the questions. Like if you go all the way through the quality process and then you ask a trade partner in your 6-week, 4-week, 3-week make ready look ahead schedule, in your weekly work planning meetings, or in just an ad hoc meeting, or in your strategic planning and procurement meeting, hey, are you ready for these tasks? That's really high level and kind of nebulous. You can drill down deeper by asking the questions I just asked, like, was there a pre-con meeting, first in place, material ready, material been inspected, dedicated manpower, do they understand the drawings, safety planning complete, are required tools and equipment on site, have you read the drawings, are all RFIs answered, are submittals approved? And then the big one, do you have any roadblocks? I would even ask those questions, but it's still words. It's still not visual. And 60% of people are visual, if that's to be believed, and I believe it. And over 80% of people in construction are visual learners and communicators. So my eyes were opened up to the fact that we have to really dig deeper. So when we're doing those make ready look aheads in the weekly work planning, we get to help people identify and capture roadblocks for the work and to really make work ready by helping them visualize. And I'm not going to give you any confidential information or repeat anything that would be in the training, but I can say at a high level, most of the time we just say words and it doesn't mean anything. We just think of the area and we're like, yep, I'm ready. The step above that would be when we ask if a task is ready in the field, that we're like thinking of a 2D picture, right? Either in plan view or a cut section. And we're seeing, what generally I know what we're talking about. Is that ready? A step above that would be to visualize and actually ask that person questions to where they can visualize it in 3D. They can actually visualize, and I'll actually come back to this, but one of the best, I always feel like conference rooms should have two. If you're going to use conference rooms for your planning meetings, they should have two large monitors. One monitor for the schedule, for the task plan, for the 6-week make ready look ahead, for the weekly work plan, and for the day plan. The other one should be with the model open and with your Bluebeam project roadblock tracking maps so that you can visualize. It's absolutely just a phenomenal way to do things. The other thing is, I worked with somebody that was fantastic, Brent Elliott. He would literally, on his field walks, not only take pictures and dispatch pictures and assignments to the project team and to foremen and to others to do things, but he took a bunch of pictures for the daily reports, and I think we used NoteVault for that. And so he would actually on the right screen either have the model or the Bluebeam roadblock tracking maps or the daily reports from the day before and be like, hey, I saw this yesterday. Is this ready? I saw this yesterday. Is this ready? He would actually bring up pictures. And I actually think that's a fantastic thing. So the step above the 2D, visualizing in a 2D, is can you, when you're asking a trade partner or even looking at a picture, visualize that area in 3D, right? A step above that would be, can you actually visualize that in the 3D, but actually all of the surrounding items, almost like you're doing a field walk, or you're FaceTiming somebody, or you're actually allowing them the time to visualize the space, or you're rotating through the model and not just looking at the actual thing that we're asking about, but everything surrounding it, meaning how does everything around that interact with it, the hallway, the corridor, the staging, the floor for material staging, any other material interfaces, substrates, things like that, right? Then there's even a step above that, where when you ask somebody if their work is made ready, if they've already visualized it in 2D, 3D, but then 3D with the surrounding objects, can you kind of sense what they're sensing? Can you feel what they're feeling? Can you actually pay attention to them where you can sense, are they nervous? Are they confident? Are they skeptical? Are they engaged? Are they not engaged? Do they feel like this is possible? Is there excitement? Is there trepidation? Is there worry? Can you actually not only engage with them in a 3D visualization standpoint, but actually go to where they are with their senses, right? And there's even a step above that where you interact with that and you ask questions. And so one of the things that was really powerful when we were going through this and pretending was, and I won't give you too much of it, but pretend that you're on a field walk with one of your trade partners. And let's just pretend that the trade partner is like let's say a wood ceiling contractor or wood ceiling installer, basically on metal stud ceilings, the soffit framing, and you get some kind of specialty wood. Like you're walking them out there into the field, and you're like, okay, so is this area ready? Right? They might look up, wave their hands, and be like, yeah, we can be here next week. Okay, very shallow answer, very kind of generic, right? But then if you're like, okay, well, what are you going to do when you come out here? Well, we're going to come out here and we'll install it, right? Very generic answer again, right? What if you kept pushing, right? If we go back, no, whoa. I didn't say the word pushing. I apologize, everybody. I repent of my wickedness. I didn't say pushing. What if you kept at the conversation from a respect standpoint and you kept asking questions? What if you went from the 2D to the 3D, from the 3D to the 3D plus the surroundings, from the 3D plus the surroundings to the senses, and then from the senses to actually engaging with that information, right? So let's go ahead and practice that right now. So if you are going to continue asking questions, you might be like, okay, so yeah, I get that you're going to understand that, but I really want to just feel like or visualize right now, what are you going to do? Like, how are you going to install it? And they may or may not be annoyed. They may be looking at their phone. It may be like, why are you asking me these questions? I've got it, right? All the typical assumptions, all of the typical, I don't know why you need this information from me, the whole nine, right? But if you ask another question, like, how could they possibly get to the point where they were like, all right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to be on Baker's scaffold. I'm going to stage my material probably somewhere in the middle of the room. I'll get it off the hoist. I'm going to have 3 people with me, 2 people on the Baker's scaffold, 1 person feeding us with materials. And the first thing that I have to do is lay out marks on the ground, and I have to mark an elevation mark on the side of the walls. And I'm going to check to make sure that your framing is right. So you can see already that person hypothetically talked about staging, how many people they had, what kind of equipment, right? So then you can really start to visualize what they're going to do. And then once you start to get them to explain that and you're visualizing it, then you're like, okay, so the elevations, is there anything we need to check before you get here? Okay, so if you're going to be on the Baker scaffold, do you have the safety policy where you're at a 2-to-1 or you're at a 4-to-1, right? If you are going to install next Tuesday and you can do 300 square feet a day, then let me ask you a question. Will the mechanical folks over here to the north that will be finishing this on a Thursday be on your way? You can really have some conversations. Then it becomes powerful when the trade partner starts to reply back, well, actually, that's going to be a problem. And then once they wake up and get out of their like cell phone zombiness or their cell phone stupor, that happens to all of us. I'm the worst. But anyway, once we snap out of it and it's like, oh, we're having a real conversation here, right? We're going down through these levels. Then it's like, all right, I see where we're going with this. Then most of the time, from my experience, the trade partner will start to help you to identify things that aren't ready that need to be made ready. And let me just tell you, the other thing that I said that was really neat that I used as a superintendent to make work ready was I was like, okay, tax planning is genius for one, but number 2, when you actually commit trade partners to milestones, then it's like marriage. It's like, hey, I love dating, I love being with this guy or gal, and it's all fun. But then when they pull the ring out, then it's like, oh, well, wait, let me think. So same thing with trade partners. If you're in a trade partner meeting or an afternoon foreman huddle or whatever, and you're like, hey, does anybody have any roadblocks? They're going to be like, yeah, no, we're good. But if you're like, okay, this is our deadline by Friday. Everybody good? Then people will be like, hold on, wait a minute. I'm not sure, but that's when the roadblocks are going to start coming out. So I've been successful with that as well. And using the 6-week make ready look ahead to really identify those roadblocks by doing field walks and using the visualization is also a very good technique, right? But we can do better, and I could have in my career, and I can now do better by not just asking the question, not just asking them with a 2D picture, not just asking them to visualize it in 3D, even if I have it up on the screen, not even just to see the surrounding environment, but to actually get them woken up to where they are communicating the problems that they have in front of them that will prevent them from installing successfully. Am I paying attention to their response and their senses and their reactions? And am I engaging with it to where they get to the point where they're from stupor cell phone mode to, okay, fine, old man, I'll explain this to you, to, okay, now I'm going to tell you what's wrong here. And let me close this out by saying this. There's an exterior contractor here in Phoenix, and I won't say their names. You probably know who I'm talking about. I actually enjoy them very much. They used to be horrible. They used to never finish projects on time. And I'm not saying there's anything special about California, but they hired a couple of project managers from California, and they brought this really cool technique where they would come out the week before and take pictures of where they were going to work. And they had a program that was similar. I don't think it was CX Alloway, but it was similar to a BIM 360 Field, which I really love, by the way, and would take pictures of, okay, we're about to install curtain wall here, that those embeds need to be fixed. These clips need to be on the embeds. They need to be cleaned off. There's concrete on them. I need to make sure that this framing is in. What about that flashing, whatever. So every week, and I was a project director on this job where they did this with me, we would get these, hey, make ready pictures for us. And we had dedicated folks that used exterior roadblock tracking maps and field engineers. And we were like, okay, let's go make this work ready. And boy, that exterior really installed well. And we didn't have the typical problems and delays like happen on a lot of different projects. And I was just really, really impressed. And so that really leads back to the need, in my opinion, for better visualization, deeper conversation. So in summary, I want to say that when you're doing your 6-week make ready look aheads or your weekly work planning, or if you're asking questions, I love the idea of having 2 screens in a conference room. I love the idea of having the model up, the Bluebeam roadblock tracking maps, the pictures from the daily reports. I love the idea of actually committing people to milestones so that they'll bring up roadblocks. I love the idea of taking pictures as a trade partner and telling the general contractor or the other trades, hey, this is what I need next week for me to do my work. I love the thought of using that quality card that I talked about, where every task that somebody puts up on a board or on a sticky has those questions. And if it's not ready, you turn it around and it's red, and you know that there's a roadblock there. But I also love what I learned from these lean practitioners in this visualization course, which is that there are different levels of visualization. And can we dig deeper instead of that? You ready? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm ready. No. Hold on a minute. Yeah. Are we ready? Pretend that you're about to go in for a really crazy surgery. You're going to say goodbye to your family. You're going to be in depth. You're going to sign your will. You know what I mean? You're going to ask, hey, do you all know what's going on? Do you know my blood type? You're going to do a couple of double checks, right? So the same kind of questions you would ask if you're about to be put under for surgery is the same kind of questions that we can ask to get a contractor or another human being, which are great people, from the cell phone stupor to the, all right, I'm going to answer your questions, from that to okay, I'm going to partner with you to actually make this area ready and open my eyes and engage. So visualization is amazing. And so I hope that you found that this podcast will give you some practical tools that you can use tomorrow. So I've really enjoyed doing this with you. I think that we've covered everything that I wanted to cover. I mean, the current conditions were just not, if you want to create flow on your project, a couple things. Have a TAC plan as a backbone, follow the last planner system, make sure that you have remarkable procurement tracking, your procurement logs are up and running, right? Install things right the first time and finish as you go. But the biggest part of that whole system is to make work ready by removing roadblocks. If you want to create flow, you have to have a remarkable roadblock removal system, but you can't do that unless you can see the roadblocks. and once you see the roadblocks, then you can remove them and actually create flow. But you can't remove roadblocks until you can see them, and you aren't going to see them unless you can visualize it, and you're not going to visualize it unless you use these systems and ask the right questions and use visual systems with a workforce and with construction professionals that are over 80% visual. So I hope this has been helpful for you. On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.